welcome to another episode of Ladies Lounge TV show. Between July 2022 and June 2023, 3,620 people were abducted in 582 kidnapping cases, with about 5 billion naira paid in ransoms, according to the socio-political risk consultancy firm SPM Intelligence. That's a whooping number of people and an obscene amount of money that has changed hands in, kidnap cases in Nigeria. Nigeria seems to be plagued by insecurity. Across the country, the targeting of its population has been widespread, including kidnappings for ransom. In the decades since the armed group Boko Haram kidnapped nearly 300 students from an all-girls school in the town of Chibok, abductions have become a recurrent fixture in Nigeria, sadly. I'm now joined by a member of the Voxafrica family, co-host of the Unfiltered TV show, Stephen Ugo, who is also a survivor of kidnappers in the region that still plagues Nigeria today. So today we're joined by Stephen Ugo, and he's going to share his story with us, and we're going to, talk about it, really. Welcome, Ugo. Very, very, very nice to have you here.
Thank you.
I know it's quite heavy. We are in a space where we want to play down on something really serious. Well, this is very serious matter, and it's in many ways it's personal to me because I do have friends, not one, not one friend, more than two friends who have been kidnapped in the past, and I know it is such an ordeal, for loved ones when this happens. But we have you here firsthand, and I want to say before I begin to, drill you, throw questions at you, I want to say thank you. Thank you for obliging us. Thank you for coming forward to share this story with us. So thank you and welcome.
Welcome. You're welcome.
Right. So the time we have might not be enough to go into every single detail, but it really give us, a short version of what happened in Nigeria.
I was going up north to sort a couple things out. So anyway, I went there by flight. So coming back, I thought I would take the bus. I think this was my first mistake. So anyway, on the journey back, the bus actually left a couple hours later because the guy was trying to get the bus filled up. For me, it was all part of the experience, taking it in. So we ended up going through a road in Kogi State where you have the Dangote cement factory. It was in Obajana, and it's a long road, nice road, but people don't take it. But I found out that we took that road because they were trying to make up for time. And anyway, along the road, we started to hear gunshots. And I was already aware of the situation and the insecurity in Nigeria. So all my knowledge kicked in that it was probably a kidnapping. Back in the days, it might have been a roadside robbery, but but anyway, so I put away all my stuff that could help them identify who I was, including my phone in the bus. They were shooting at the bus. Actually, 2 people died from the shooting because I think there were 18 people on the bus. That was the driver, and then the person right next to me who was right behind the driver. So they both got bullets there. Anyway, people are rushing to the back of the bus. Me, I was one of the first people. So anyway, now the bus comes to a halt. We all come out of the bus. They tell us to lie on the floor. There was actually another bus coming the opposite way that we were going. While they're having us lie down on the floor, everyone lie down on the floor. There were about probably 6 of them. I could see about 4 of them though at that time. The other 2 were still in the bushes. But then they start shooting at the other bus going the opposite way. But luckily enough, no one was hit. The tires were flat, but the driver of that bus kept driving. They got away. were filed into the bush, stripped half naked, everyone.
Hmm.
And they started to speak to us in their language. At the time, I didn't know, but they were Fulani. And when they speak, if you don't respond in, Fulani, they put you to the side. There were, I think, 3 people who were Fulani as well. They let them go.
Right.
A heavily pregnant lady, they let her go. But at this time, we were like 30 minutes away from the motorway into the bush. But then they let them go. That's what 4 of them. The rest of us filed into the bush. That's where we were. Intimate, like every now and then they would release because they were currently in negotiation with people's families. And
Hmm.
unluckily for me, the thing was I had hid my phone in the bus, and I don't even know my number. I took less of anybody else's number.
Oh my God. So when it happened, you said you threw your phone away. You didn't
Yes,
want them to identify you.
yes, yes,
So you
yes.
didn't want them to identify you as someone, from the
Who
UK?
exactly? Especially, I
Right.
knew that would put me at really high risk. So
Okay.
even my phone with the pictures, and information on the phone, because that was one of the things they did along while we're inside. They took everyone's.
Mm.
I had my ATM though. They took all our ATMs and pins and went to empty the accounts subsequently while we were with them. So yeah, so when we're in the bush, every now and then they would try and contact the families. So for a while, I didn't have and I was hoping that they would eventually let me go without me having to bring family tension into it. But then one day they said something to me like the next day I would be wasted because I was of no value to them. That day, all
Mm.
night I was awake just thinking of how I could make communication. And then I was able to get a number of an agent of me and my sisters. Well, I
Right.
just overnight because they had like an old school Motorola phone,
Mm.
satellite phone. The Motorola phone they used to get my.
Right. Mm.
So I asked one of them if I could, the leader, if I could use the phone and check for the agents if maybe they had an online presence, or advert. And as soon as I typed it in, there was, they had the what's it called, the LinkedIn page
All
with
right.
information and phone number and everything else on it. So I called them. The lady I spoke to, who was the receptionist there, she said she thought I was joking because so calmly, that's using the kidnappers' phone because they would use our SIMs,
Mm.
all of us. But my SIM wasn't there. But every now and then, they would put someone's SIM in the phone and make a call. That's how they used to make calls. And I called them and I said, okay, this is who I am. I just want to say to you to please call my sister. I've been kidnapped. And this is the number to call. And as soon as I said those things, the guy grabbed the phone and cut the call. So she said I was so calm when I was speaking to her that she thought I was joking, or it wasn't a serious thing. But they contacted my sister anyway. And that's how negotiations started. And
Mm.
yeah, so
That's such a harrowing story,
yeah,
you know?
this is about 5 days, 6 days into it. There's so many harrowing parts to the story. I'll try and compress everything because every now and then some things come back, some things go away.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Guys at the beginning, the kidnappers, they were really aggressive, erratic as well. I suspected they were probably high on something, you know.
Mm.
With time, I also got to know them. The youngest among them, I believe he was 16. He was probably the wildest and the most aggressive. And I found out it was his first time doing that kind of thing. So he was probably more scared than anything, which explained for the
Mm.
rest of
Mm.
his
Mm.
behavior. Leader, towards the end of my captivity, we kind of got, I won't say close, but he liked to come and sit with me and talk with me. He was the only one who could speak English. And he was
That's the 16-year-old.
no, the youngest was 16. The oldest, the leader, was about 20.
Okay, the leader was the one
Yeah,
who,
yeah, it
would
was
come and sit with
23.
you.
Yeah, was 23.
He was 23 years old.
Yeah. And eventually during our conversations, because they would drink, there's something they call it, dongoyaro. They had dongoyaro with them the whole time. They had big barrels. Some of us used to carry it for them while, and in the bush, all we did was move, move, keep walking. We walk for like maybe 6 hours. in my mind, it was like 6 hours. Hours would work, then we'd rest for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, then we keep moving. Every time they would make a call because they were scared they were being tracked, we'll make a call and we'll have to move far away from the position of where the call was made. This is calls to negotiate with different families. And the ransom went from like 30 million naira all the way down to when I was released as low as 3 million naira. And there were still other people with them because their families could not afford to pay that amount, which from the way things were going, I could tell they would still keep bringing it down until. But yeah, there were two people who got released in like 3 days because their people paid 30 million naira in cash. So for them, it was all the business. Also, there was a guy who tried to run away when they were distracted, and he got shot as well, but he got away. But later on being released, the police informed me that they found the guy's dead body somewhere in the bush close to the road. So he made it close to the road, but he passed away before. Yeah, so the rest of it was just moving, climbing mountains, barefooted, you know. There was a funny one when we were first put in the bush, and then they told us to take all our stuff off. And then I was wearing my Balenciagas, my favorite Balenciaga shoes. So when the guy took off the shoes and the guy said, yeah, throw it away. I said to him, like, yo, these are Balenciagas, bro. Like, you can keep them. he gave me a slap the way I threw them away.
He slapped you.
I'm telling you.
And then you threw the
that I
shoes
will
away.
handle, if not for the big gun on his hand. So yeah, I had to throw them away. I told you, bro, these are almost 800-pound shoes. Like 800. Anyway, he didn't. Then yeah, so we continued. They will be human at times, and then at times they will just be so aggressive. But for all of them, for all the kidnappers, I can say, if not for their situations, they didn't want to be there, you know. And they were puppets as well. They had the main people who were calling the shots. So
and these main people were not in the bush with them. They were somewhere controlling things.
Yes. They had weapons that probably only the military should have, or I don't see police those kind of weapons. And some of them had no shoes on. They were barefooted.
Right.
They were barefooted.
So even they seemed like victims.
Yes.
That's interesting.
There was a time we got in the bush. We met another set of kidnappers and their victims.
What happens in that kind of situation? What did you guys do?
So the kidnappers were very erratic and telling us to hide and all of this. And then even the other side were the same because we've seen each other from a bit of a distance. They always have people ahead that come back and tell the other ones what is waiting ahead. And then they had a conversation between them. The other set had dogs as well. That was very weird. They had some tall, like racing dogs. You see in the UK, but wilder. I don't know how to. So anyway, they all had their guns. But they had a conversation with them, and ours came back to us, and we went different ways. But then later on, the guy, I asked him about, why that I thought they would be friendly. But the leader, he was like, in some situations, you have kidnappers killing other kidnappers in order to get hold of the market, because that's more ransom for them.
Yeah.
So which is why they were both a bit apprehensive towards each other. And he said again that we are really nice people in just our random conversations, but we're just unlucky that we were this month's batch.
You were unlucky that you were this month's batch. What does that mean?
That means it must be a monthly thing for their group. I got the call, the feeling that they are called on to execute at different times, which I feel they're different. So the people who are organizing this, they have different sets of teams or shifts, whatever you call it. It's a continuous
Right.
business. It is not
Yeah.
even asking the guy what he would do with the money. I asked him, you know, sometimes
Hmm.
they'll come and they will give me the dongayaro a little bit to drink in the night when they'll be listening to their one radio station. Oh my God, I can never forget. The same music is like war music. But anyway, so we'll talk. And then I asked
And
the guy,
sorry to cut you, but do you drink the thing they give you to drink?
if they give me, I will not say no. I drank.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, the first time I drank it and we still had to do all that walking, it was a serious struggle. But the guy liked to come and talk with me, you know,
Hmm.
like when in the night we would probably sleep for about 2 hours or 3 hours, which is the longest sleep we would have before, you know, because in the day is like maybe a 30-minute break after a couple hours, 20, but in the night we'd have like 3 hours to sleep. Before then he would come, we'll talk. His English wasn't that good, and
Hmm.
I didn't give it away speaking English because the accent would have let me off. So I always spoke
Hmm.
Pidgin to him at the Westwood. So,
Hmm.
and my
Thank God
story
for
is,
pigeon.
I'm telling my story to him was that I was a bricklayer who went to Abuja to look for work, and I was just making my way back before they they kidnapped me. So I didn't really come from a place of wealth. So
So it sounds like it was a good idea to get rid of your phone then.
I knew it was because even before it was definitely because on the news in Nigeria, you see every day kidnappings,
Yeah.
kidnappings. So I
Yeah.
never thought it would happen to me, but the kind of person I am, the information I had already about those kind of situations, or even I knew
Hmm.
people who had been kidnapped, friends or whatever. I knew that it was a bad idea to have anything that would give information
Hmm.
away on you
Hmm. Hmm.
in those kind of situations. So,
How about your passport, your international passport and things
I
like that?
left it in the bus under the
You
driver's
left in the bus as well.
under the driver's seat. My two phones in the bus under the driver's seat, my wallet. Unluckily for me, I had one of my bank cards in my jeans. So it
Okay.
wasn't in my wallet, which is why they were able to access my
Able to take
account.
it. Yeah.
Because if I had my wallet, I would have been crying.
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So you really moved. You had a moment to think smart
Yes,
in
yes,
that
I did.
situation.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
But what would you say gave you all this courage to, be the way you were in that situation?
Not everyone is so, but I am growing up, I have always been taught to be aware of my environment. And also, I'm
Okay.
in tune naturally with my environment, with situations. You need
Hmm.
to be able to, living in certain places, even in London, like I used to live in like Clapton, Brixton, some rough areas,
Hmm.
you have to not be violent, but be able to read situations and prepare yourself for the worst, but hope for the best most of
Hmm.
the time. So I've always been that kind of person because if not, a lot of little things would have been let off. It's just like even when I contacted the agents to call my sister, for example, my sister has the most British accent you can ever imagine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in my mind, I
I
was
know her.
subconscious. Yeah, you do. I was thinking if she calls these people, it's going to go to the next level because they're going to be like, he's an Oibo person that is even calling to negotiate. But she had the sense as well. This is the same thing I'm saying. It's because of how we were brought up to think about it
Right.
and instead contact an uncle of ours to make
Right.
you understand the negotiation. But this was a big fear of mine. But again, I say it's how we were brought up. Our parents always
Hmm.
let us know how to be aware
Hmm.
of our environment.
Hmm.
So yeah.
I mean, I think it's a very big lesson for our viewers, because we are Nigerians. We know where we are from, and but we live here in the UK, and
Yeah.
we would go back home um every now and then. But being aware is such a major thing, such a major, major thing of the surroundings.
Yeah.
We can, the things that are happening are, they're unfortunate. and we're hoping that it will get better. But while we are here in this position, being aware, being smart about it is really, really, really important. There are some dimensions of kidnapping that have to do with people giving away word to whoever that okay, this person is in town. What would you say about those kinds of incidents? Have you heard of any, or are you privy to anyone who would have gone through such?
Yeah, around where I stay in Lagos, there was even a situation where two sons tried to get their dad kidnapped.
Okay.
It was because they knew about some money that had come in or whatever that they got caught in the end. And even, there's a situation as well where kidnappers went into a club in the mainland, on the mainland, kidnapped people that were doing Dorime in the club, It was during Christmas 2 years ago. So one thing with Nigeria and crime, or our crime it never gets better. It evolves. And there's everybody always trying to be a sharp guy or make a quick buck. For some people, it's again conditions that make the crayfish bend. But for some people, they then find it lucrative, and to them it's not as if they're doing that much harm. But the situation before it will get better will definitely get worse, because you can, like, they bring all kind of bills in, all kind of laws, but if you don't get to the root of the problem, it's just not doing anything. Just for their senator's conscience.
I mean, yeah. Speaking of laws, I believe there was a law about not paying the ransom.
Yeah,
there was a law. The law was that people shouldn't pay the ransom, and if they paid the ransom, they would be arrested or something like that.
Yes. 15 years in jail, up to 15 years in jail.
Up to 15 years in prison if you pay the ransom, and yet you can't rely on the police to help you get your loved one out. So if you pay the ransom, you can get in trouble for paying the ransom.
Yeah. Most times, the police will advise you to pay the ransom. Because so that tells you how inadequate the bill is.
I don't understand the law about, getting the person paying ransom arrested and charged for paying a ransom to free their loved one.
It's silly.
And there is no other hope.
They couldn't have thought it would work or have any effect. It was just to say, we look at what we've done about it. Because even the police said to me when I went back to get my stuff at Obajano police station, that what were we doing on that road? That don't we know it's a road where people get kidnapped? Then I said to them, they should get a big billboard and put at the beginning of the road, at least
don't use this road.
Beware kidnappers on this road, or something.
Yeah.
It's silly. It's silly.
So did you get your stuff back? Your wallet, your passport?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that's encouraging then.
Yeah,
it means
I got it from the police station. Yeah.
Oh, that's encouraging.
They said when they saw my passport, and the fact that I was living abroad, that they felt the whole bus was kidnapped because they were targeting me. So that's their investigation they were about to start going up on. So you can imagine, that means they even had no idea. If they had thought that means if the kidnappers had seen those things, those documents, then I would definitely have. But yeah, they have no idea. They were just informed. They have no idea.
Wow! Again, thank you for sharing this. But I must ask, Ugo, how are you following that experience? It's been what, a year? Or maybe 2 years since it happened.
Yeah, about 2 years.
How has it been since then?
At first I thought it was fine, to be honest, but then with time I found out it had like effects that I didn't even know, things I was dealing with. But I would say today I'm way better than I was yesterday.
Okay,
that makes any sense.
Yeah, because this is it's trauma.
It is.
It's trauma, and the body keeps the score of trauma.
Yeah.
You know, as you say, you thought you were fine, but things would happen that would trigger you without you wanting to be triggered.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. So.
Did you? Okay. Yeah. Go on.
But now I was gonna say, but the first thing is like knowing that you're not fine. You know, you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
you're there, everything else is easier.
Hmm. Yeah. Have you been back to Nigeria since then?
No, but I'll be going back soon. The only thing is I'm not going up north anymore. You cannot pay me to go up north. No way.
Right.
No way. No way.
Right.
No way.
Right. Right.
It's worse up north than it is, in the south. Even though people
You
say,
think so? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
definitely, definitely. And because
Hmm.
of the vast land, if I think of how much bush we walked through, we went through a military checkpoint the night I was traveling in the bus about 10 or 15 minutes before the shooting started. And there were so many checkpoints on the road, but still there are people getting kidnapped. So obviously that's
Hmm.
affected. But
Hmm.
yeah.
You were very smart. You thought quick. And you said, it's because of the way you were brought up. You were brought
Yeah.
up to, be alert,
Yeah.
to be quick, to be sharp with your surroundings.
Yeah.
But not all of us were brought up like that,
True.
right?
True.
So what do you think? What do you think? What advice can you offer, to Nigerians everywhere in the UK planning to visit home, especially
To
on this matter, of course?
yeah, to first, you have to be aware of your surrounding, the dangers in your immediate surrounding, because
Mm,
Nigeria is that kind of place. From where you go 15 minutes, maybe from the island, you cross to a wall on a shoki, you are in a different kind of environment. You need to be aware how relaxed you can be. And
mm,
Nigeria, the insecurity is no matter how, when even there was a time that Minister of Justice or something got killed in his own house with all the security that were there, no one saw anything. I mean, if you take that into consideration, then you can think, how really safe are you anyway? You're only
mm,
as safe as, you're only as safe as your surrounding is. That's the
mm,
honest truth. So you need to know where you are, um, keep yourself away from certain kind of unnecessary risks. If you come to Abulegba and you're wearing a shiny Rolex, maybe people want to cut off your hand. Well,
mm,
if you are in Chevron, maybe it's a normal thing. People are just gonna be like, "That's a nice Rolex." You need to know how not to make yourself a target because there are
mm,
always people watching. That's another thing. You know,
mm,
so,
mm,
so it's not to be paranoid. There are people there to show love as well. The love
mm,
and the people who are there to harm you, but there's always harm around anyway. There's
mm, mm,
so
mm.
just as you are doing Dorime in the club, just maybe there's some they're waiting for the people, the Dorimeers, try to help
Mm,
as well because
mm, mm,
karma is good. The karma
mm,
exists.
mm,
The good is good, the reward is always good. So just have a good time in your country, but
mm,
be aware because
mm, mm,
abroad, wherever you are, there are the dangers as well. It might not be
mm.
kidnapping, but there are dangers everywhere.
True.
So
Mm, mm,
be aware of
mm,
your surroundings.
mm,
That's the only
mm,
advice.
mm. Are you ready to go back to have a good time?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
I miss Suya from I miss a lot of stuff. I miss the weather, the atmosphere, family.
Mm,
You know,
mm. Right.
it's home.
It's home. It's home.
It
And
is.
I think that's a key thing here, that this is home.
Yeah.
It's home. I mean, we know that there are many people who leave home and forget that it is home, but it's home. We are not talking about the solutions in this episode today, really, because that's it's an ongoing conversation.
It is.
We're just sharing your story today and drawing from it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we're doing. It's home, and I'm glad that you were able to come back to safety.
Thank you.
You know, the recovery from trauma starts from safety.
Yes.
And who knows what it would have been if you didn't have here to come back to.
True.
Or you've come back to safety. This is 2 years after.
Yeah.
You've said, you thought you were fine, but you realized you're not. In what way did you realize you were not fine?
I wasn't the same person I was before kidnapping, in very minute ways. Like, I would have flashbacks. Probably I was a bit detached from people than I was. In fact, it took a long time for me to even be able to tell the story without feeling so emotionally, like almost not breakdown, but I would feel like a heavy, like I almost died. So on the day I understood, like, wow, I almost died. I came face to face with death. It's not something I could just brush off, like,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I would, I didn't like going out of the house. Normally, I'm not a person who goes here and there anyway, but a lot more I was um more more detached from people is the first thing. Like yeah, and more aware of my surroundings than I usually am, up to almost like a paranoid level,
Right.
expecting
Yeah.
worse
Yeah.
all the
Even
time.
here, back in the UK.
Yeah, even back in the UK, it's
Hmm.
it was more while I was in Nigeria in recovery, even before I came back to the UK. But even in the UK, um, someone staring at you and you're thinking,
Yeah.
what are you looking at, or what's
Mm.
you know, it's it was a lot of minute things. It wasn't anything major, just a lot of minute things, or
Mm.
waking up in the middle of the night,
Mm.
dreamt a lot as well about it just in the afternoon.
Mm.
Yeah, but
Mm.
then coming to terms with it that this actually happened, I didn't like talking about it, didn't like thinking about it.
Mm.
But then being able to understand that it happened for a reason, trying to get the positives from why it happened, or even this platform being able to talk about it, it's
Yeah.
also a good thing in my own sense that could possibly
Yeah.
have come out from it, because a lot of
Mm.
people are not aware about that kind of.
Mm.
You never know.
Mm.
It is never, you're never concerned about something as when it happens to you. When you think,
Absolutely.
we're
Mm.
kidnapped, yeah, we're kidnapped.
Yeah, we hear it as stories, don't we?
Yes,
Like,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
Mm. Mm.
yes.
Yeah.
So understanding that, yeah, that was a very close call as well. So even
Mm.
seeing the bus when I went back to get my stuff from the police station, the amount of bullets that were on that bus, I'm not
Wow.
a lot more people didn't die just from the
Mm.
incidents, stuff like that.
Mm.
Get flashbacks of things that I forgot. There are many things I've forgotten, buried.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah. I
flashbacks.
mean, you witnessed, you did not just go through it, but you witnessed a
Yeah.
lot of horror.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You witnessed a lot of horror. You were going through it and you were witnessing the horror of, the other people that were victims
Yes.
like you were.
Yes.
It's a lot. It's
Yes.
a lot to take in.
Yes. It is. It is. And it's another thing, because in that kind of instincts is the flight or fight. So they, okay, climb here. We're going to
Mm.
the top of this mountain. The last person they will get beaten up, something like that. They used to do
Mm.
kidnappers did things like that in the beginning, and everybody would be rushing. People will get left behind. You
Mm.
understand? But
Mm.
even to try and, I kind of spoke to those people like, see, if we're all lost, then we need to help each other to get out of
Mm.
the situation. But even understanding the situation, I had to let them know that this is the only way we are gonna survive this, or else
Mm.
possibly it would have been a harder ordeal if we went
Mm.
as captives to try
Mm.
and be a
Mm.
unit, like they were being a unit to use us against each other. So that also
Mm.
made the experience easier for us to survive. I don't know if you understand.
Mm. Yeah, so you people try to stick
To stick
together.
together, yes, yes. But
Try to
it
stick
started, it
together.
wasn't like that. But once that happened, then the chances of our survival went up a lot,
Mm.
a lot.
Mm. Mm.
And so that mentality too has to be there, because I can assure you, in most situations, especially in Nigeria, it's not going to be there. So it's another thing that, so again, when I say to get to the core, it's not, as a people, we need to be together. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
We need to
explain it.
stick
We
together,
need to stick
really,
together. Yes.
in situations,
Yeah.
it could be good situations too.
Yeah,
But in
good
this case,
situations too. Bad
in
situations
bad
especially.
situations, yeah, to stick together, to
Especially.
survive together, and
Yeah.
not leave anyone behind,
Behind. Yes,
basically.
yes, yes,
Mm.
yes, it helps.
Mm. Mm.
So that's again is another possible like
Lesson.
realization I got
Yeah.
from the situation. Later on
Mm.
though, I figured like, wow, that's probably why a lot of us did survive, because even
Mm.
water to drink, we were drinking in 42 degrees, 45
Wow.
degrees, drinking like less than a cup of water a day.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it was all again sticking together and sharing, surviving.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Mm.
be aware of your environment, stick together.
Yeah. Yeah. Be aware of your environment. Stick together. You know.
It says,
At the end of the month, or a little over a month, you said you were there.
yes, yes, yes. I believe it was a month,
Were there?
3 days, because
Okay.
they were meant to release me a couple days earlier, but the person that was meant to drop my ransom money, where they were meant to drop it, got scared and went back because of the amount of
Oh.
captors and the guns and the places in the bush they were telling him to go. He was scared maybe he will reach there and they
Oh.
will hold him and the money. So the day I was meant to
Oh.
be released, it didn't happen. I was thinking, what the hell am I still doing here, asking them
Oh.
questions? Because
So that
yeah,
is another dimension to this is
that's another
dropping
dimension.
up, dropping off the ransom money.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
God.
My uncle was like, wow, it was
I
okay.
don't blame him really. To be honest,
Yeah, he thought they're going to
Oh,
hold me and take the money, and it went back. So,
and then keep
so
him back
yes,
for more
yes,
money from somebody else.
yes, yes.
So how did it eventually happen? Dropping off the
Um,
ransom money.
yeah, I believe they made arrangements to drop it somewhere in the bush, where to meet on the road somewhere or something like that, and then they directed him to go into the bush. He had to drive for about 30 minutes or something, an hour. He saw a group of people on trees with guns. Every couple of miles into the bush he would go. Then we're meant to be dropped off because I was released with 3 other people at the same time.
Mm.
They were meant to drop us off at a roundabout. I believe it was either Obajana roundabout or Kaba. And even while my people were there, they said some people came up to them and asked them if they were waiting for the people that are about to. The market women came up to them and asked if they were waiting for the people that are about to be released. So it was a common place where they used to release captives. But that didn't happen that day because the kidnappers felt they might have been set up. So
Okay.
we were released somewhere in the bush and told to walk straight for about 3 hours that we would meet the
The
road.
main road.
So because they told us to walk straight, the other people that was wave and it's a hilly terrain. They wanted to go around the mountain or the hill. I'll tell them, these people say we should walk straight. We need to climb this hill and just keep forward.
Okay, so it wasn't just you released on that day.
No, no, yeah, it wasn't just me. 2 other guys and 1 girl were released on that day.
And
So,
a girl. Oh my God.
yes. So, yeah, we walked for probably about 4 or 5 hours. Then we were definitely lost. And we
Yeah.
heard the sound of the chainsaw because while we're in the bush, we always hear the chainsaw from the lumberjacks. Those guys
Mm.
that cut down the trees and
Mm.
timber. So when that happened while we were with the kidnappers, they would make us go around. So when we heard that, so we walked towards the sound.
And it was a sound, right?
And it was one of those people that cut down trees. He had a motorbike, so he was shocked and he offered to help straight away. He drove us, so he could only take 2 people at a time. Because it was one of those little like lady bikes, So he drove 2 down to the main road that went back for the other 2. So that's how, even in the motorbike, we probably rode for about an hour before we got.
Oh wow!
We got to the road. It was the same Obajano Expressway going up to Kaba. Then when the other 2 joined us, we stopped. The cars wouldn't even stop for us. That's because we're all in our underwear. I haven't had showers.
They didn't give you back your clothes, nothing.
We threw the clothes away and kept walking. That was what it was. So then,
so the girls were in their underwear as well.
For the girls, they put them in like that's weird as well. They had that in like overalls. So they had that for the girls. Yes. But for a while they were in their underwear. Eventually, when we got into the bush, because first there were 5 of them, and then one came and joined us while we were in the bush. So there were always 6. Then at a point, when the number reduced, we were from I think from about 12 or 13 of us, it was now about 7 of us left, or 8, 2 left. So there were only 4 of them with us. Understand? So yeah, it was very well organized. They knew what they were doing. That's definitely for sure.
Wow. Ugo, welcome home.
Thank you.
Welcome. I know it's been 2 years. I'm glad that you're in a place now where you can actually talk about it.
Yes. Okay.
And let that weight off. I don't know if you've been to therapy, but it might be worthwhile.
I self-therapy.
Even though it's 2 years. It's been 2 years since it happened. Well, you are the one telling us the story, so you know better when you go home again to not do road unsolicited road
traveling. I'm telling you.
And even within town,
yes.
we just have to be careful, because we must go home. It's home. Home is home.
It is.
Yeah. So thank you very much for sharing. I wish you well, and I hope you continue to recover from this ordeal.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining us in this episode. I forgot I was on Ladies Lounge. I was just listening, and I hope you've been able to take away the tips Ugo has graciously given firsthand as to how to keep yourself safe when you travel home. Home is home. We're not going to throw it away. We'll continue to hope that things get better, things get picked up on and dealt with accordingly. But till then, home is home, and we will not run away. So thank you for watching, and see you again next time. Bye-bye.